Greetings all, F-Man here. Welcome back to Assetto Corsa, and welcome for the first time, at least on my channel, to the RSS MP-H Callahan V8. What is this thing? Well, you'll see it is decked out in this absolutely wonderful Dazzle camouflage livery, and yeah, Dazzle camouflage on brand for me if you know anything about me. Anyway, this is the latest creation from our friends over at Race Sim Studio. Those of you who do know what you're looking at, though, immediately you're going to say, isn't that the Cadillac GTP? Well, as a matter of fact, yes, it is, as near as makes no difference, the Cadillac V-Series.R GTP, the Grand Tourer prototype class race car that currently is racing in IMSA. The GTP category, it debuted in 2023, and it's probably the most interesting and exciting class of race car currently in production and in competition today, because you've got obviously all of the high downforce, high speed, high cornering capabilities of a prototype, but you're marrying it to a very diverse range of power plant and driveline options, along with hybrid systems. And as much as people like me, who tend to be more traditionalist in terms of our tastes in racing and race cars, hybrid is certainly something that is here to stay, and it is effectively in every major class of international competition today. So, yeah, hybrid is a thing here in the top level prototype category in the world, but it's not so prescriptive as to say that everybody has to run, oh, I don't know, a 1.6 liter V6 with a single turbo out the back in the most inefficient possible design possible. No, 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 no. These GTP cars can have basically any sort of engine and driveline that they want. They all happen to be mid-engine rear-wheel drive through a sequential gearbox of some sort, but this car's got a V8. The Porsche has a V8. There are other cars that have V8s. There are other cars that have V6s. There are even some cars in not quite that category, but in similar category, hypercar, that have V10s and V12s, and they still fit within macrocosmically the same set of regulations. So that's something that's really cool, and I do very much enjoy diversity in design, and modern prototype racing is a place where that still very much does exist, and that's really cool. However, what do we have here with us today? Well, those of you who know anything about my channel know that I'm basically an open wheel guy, and, well, there is a very strong case to be made that a modern prototype car is effectively an open wheeler with fenders and a roof. They do very similar things in terms of their cornering characteristics, power to weight ratios, things like that. They're obviously a bit slower than an actual open wheeler because they're carrying around some more stuff that an open wheeler doesn't have to carry around with it, but we're still talking about some really high performance here. We're talking about cornering forces well in excess of 3G. We're talking about acceleration from 0 to 100 clicks in well under 3 seconds. We're talking about top speeds well in excess of 330 to 350 kilometers per hour, depending on how the thing is trimmed out. So we've got a lot of performance potential here. Basically, the biggest differences between this and driving an open wheeler is they're a little bit heavier, and of course, they've got a roof and a windscreen. Other than that, though, we've got ourselves something that is going to be a lot of fun, I do very much suspect. Having just installed the car here and just booted it up to make sure that everything has installed correctly, what do we have going on our setup screen here? This car, in keeping with basically every top-level mod nowadays for Assetto Corsa, it has full integration with the custom shaders patch, as well as a whole bunch of other Lua and Python apps. RSS have the RSS settings app that does run with this car as well, and it allows you to customize all sorts of other things that generic vanilla Assetto Corsa doesn't necessarily support out of the box. However, in the generic vanilla Assetto Corsa setup screen, we've got here on our gear display a couple of different gear sets we can choose from. We've got the standard set, which is included by default. Looks like 7th gear tops out at 312 kilometers per hour. That's actually going to be a little bit slow here at Road America. We're at Bilski's Road America, by the way. We also have the long set. This would be for Daytona and Le Mans, I guess. Still seems like that top speed at 338 clicks is a little bit low, particularly if we are talking about a place like Daytona, where we're using effectively the whole oval as well as the road course in the infield. So maybe that's something that could be revised a little bit, but we'll see. Maybe that's just where theoretically the limiter should be, but the limiter is actually a bit higher up. We'll find out. Tires, we've got multiple tire compounds here. In short, you've got the wets, which are the ones that we won't be using. And then we have got medium high temps. We have soft high temps. These are good up to about 110, 120 C, I think. And then we've got soft low temps, which are good to like 80 to 100 C. So we have a very warm day here at Road America. So we're going to start off on the medium high temps here, 20 PSI all around on our setup. Fuel, it's zeroed out right now to keep the engine quiet, but fuel capacity is 110 liters. And then we'll shut that down again for the moment. Electronics, all sorts of electronic gizmos on these cars. I mentioned that they've got hybrid systems, and they do, but also, of course, we've got traction control, and we've got two different flavors of traction control on this car. Not something unique to this particular one, or even unique to, shall we say, Race Sim Studio mods, or just general new mods in general at this point. But you've got two steps of traction control. You've got your main TC, and then you've got the TC2 cut, which is where things come in as you are accelerating out of a corner, for example, and it can allow more or less slip depending on track conditions and however you've got that set up. Generally speaking, as it still apparently applies here in Assetto Corsa, the lower number is higher intervention, and it seems to be the case here as well. So I tend to like the car to be pretty planted out of the corner. So this is where the TC1, as it were, would be for me. So I think it's probably going to be fine at 7. I don't know. But I tend to like the wheels to be able to spin up a little bit in the second phase of XL. So I don't know. Step 8. Dive planes trimmed. Now, what does this actually mean? Oops. All right. So what does this mean? Dive planes, I'm assuming it's talking about these right here. Removed, trimmed, and fixed. That's apparently not what it's talking about. So where are these dive planes? Can I see them? I don't know what it's talking about. See, generally on a race car, dive planes refer to, if you remember on an old school DTM car, there used to be these strakes on the front fenders. That's generally what I think of when I hear dive plane in a race car context, but apparently that's not what they are. Or they're just not animated. Either way, they were in the trim position, so we'll maintain them in the trim position here. Anyway, BOP, balance of performance. This is anathema to anybody who actually likes motorsport, but balance of performance, sometimes you do get somebody who wins all the time, and the dominance may be bad for viewership, so they can nerf cars selectively as the season wears on, and they can manipulate the results of the championship. However, you can set your BOP, the BOP as it were, from 480 kilowatts to 520 kilowatts in both low and high speed. So I'm guessing this is how much power is going to be available, say, in the acceleration phase versus as you're cruising up to top speed. Yeah, and apparently it's that same range of adjustment in both. So we're going to go the full 520 because, yes, braking here. We have brake migration. These are more electronic gizmos that are available to us. We'll see how that is. We can also adjust this on the fly as well as brake bias. Front brake ducts, let's see. Lower value means the brakes run cooler, but top speed is affected. Okay. There's actually quite a bit of heavy braking here at Road America. And I thought I could see something changing here on the front end. What do we have? Yes, have a look. Where you'd expect to see headlights, these are the brake ducts. So you can close these down if you'd like. We'll leave them open for the moment. Where's the rear brake duct? Can we see that? I don't know if we can see that on the rear. But you can close them and open them as you wish, front and rear, so that's kind of cool. Drivability, engine map, high, of course. You can also select balanced and low, apparently. Throttle position. Lower values are more optimal for low grip conditions. Higher values for high grip conditions. All right. You can change your pit lane speed limiter as well. Yeah, I don't really know what those throttle maps are going to do because I haven't driven the car yet. Differential settings and power post and preload, that's cool. Alignments, camber and tow in all four corners. Main suspension screen, spring rates, ride heights, travel ranges, ARBs, front and rear, all that kind of stuff. Fast slow down, rebound on the dampers, heave springs with the bump stops. Visual MFDs. Visuals. Oh, we can really change things up here. Let's see. We can open the doors. Don't know if we can actually open the doors there when the car's running. We'll figure that out. Let's see. Visual things we can play with. Helmet visor. We can close it. We can... Oh, look at that. Ah, we've got 10 steps of adjustment on the helmet visor. The driver can or cannot wear glasses. Cockpit vents. Oh, okay. You can change the configurations of the vents there in the cockpit. That's kind of cool. I'll open them up. Why not? Internal LED browse. See this later on, I guess. Internal LED leaderboard. You're in the cockpit. Will you see this stuff? Yeah. Yeah, you will. Okay, I like that. And of course, you can just play with that to your heart's content. No changes there in terms of the performance, I would assume. But, yeah, enough faffing about for me. Let's, first of all, close the door. Yeah, because that would be bad. And let's put some gas in this thing. And go for a drive, shall we? 50 liters. Okay. Now, obviously the engine's running and the ignition is on. I think we can shut the ignition off. Yes, we can, and the engine kills. But you'll notice that the car is still alive. That's because these cars have the ability to get into the pit lane and then pull away out of the pit lane under electric power because they've got that hybrid power plant. So we don't actually have to start the engine to get the car running. At least I don't think. Which means, what do we have here? All right. Which means that in theory, if I punch up first gear, I should just be able to pull away. And I can. Let's see. There's the engine. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so let's just get the tires happy. Shouldn't take too terribly long to warm them up on this warm day. First thing I'm noticing is obviously that engine sound. It's a big American V8, of course, so it's got that low rumble to it. Also noticing that even though the tires have no heat in them, feeling pretty positive on the front end already. Gearbox is a 7-speed unit. Works as expected. We got a lift on the upshift, as in it lifts automatically on the upshift and it blips on the downshift. Right. That's full revs. Tires are not ready yet. Also, just a little something I'm noticing here. Look at my mirror. You can see it's got some lines through it. That's not a graphics error. That mirror is actually a screen. They bothered to model the look of a somewhat low-resolution screen. That's really cool. Yeah, we can take that flat next time. Let's put in some hybrid boost juice. The medium setting does. Still not enough time to get into 7th gear there down the front straight. See those LED strips either side of the steering wheel? They're giving me some indicators of what I guess the hybrid system is doing, as well as wheel slip out of the corners. And also for any locking that might be happening under braking. That's cool. Yeah, definitely some understeer. Again, though, I've only done 2 laps in this thing, so I don't really know it yet. There's flat, easy flat. Front end just washed away there. Let's go to high on the hybrid deploy. Ever so slightly out of brake myself. See the display there updating in real time as I change the brake balance. Very nice touch. I guess when those white lights are scrolling up along the sides, it means that the hybrid system is coming to the end of its deployment phase for the given mode that you're in. Seems only to happen in 6th gear at full throttle. Again, I'm just trying to process in real time here. Man, that understeer in the final corner is terrible. Go full hybrid delivery. That was ugly, but we got it stopped. This was uglier. Wow. Thing just pushes wide. It does not like low-speed corners, evidently. I have to really concentrate on getting this thing stopped. Medium to high speed stuff, you got the arrow to help you, but the low speed stuff, when the arrow falls away, it does not like it. What the hell happened? Now it doesn't even want to stop. Is it something with the energy harvest? Maybe. Let's see how much of that problem is the car and how much of that problem is the driver. I suspect it is the latter. That corner is always historically really difficult to get a car stopped into anyway. Again, just pushes wide. Am I asking too much at the front end, probably? I don't even understand what happened there. I think the tires just fell off a cliff of some sort. The pressures are all in nominal ranges, I think. I really don't know. And auto engine kill. That's a nice little touch. But, no, I don't understand what happened with the tires there. They just kind of fell off the cliff. We did just gently tap the wall with the left side. I don't see any damage modeled. But that's okay. But, yeah, I don't know what that was with the tires. differential is also really restrictive. Open that up a little bit. Try him again. Bit less fuel on board this time. I like that auto engine kill when we came into the pit lane. That was cool. And then we'll do the auto engine start again because it's just kind of unique. That's just a unique thing to hear. Just get the tires to a happy place and then see if we can best our 153.366. Probably have 2 or 3 laps to do it. If the last run on this same compound was anything to go by. There is a little bit more slip in the rear now from opening up the diff slightly. That's fine. All right. Braked a bit late. Of course we gotta prang it. Yeah. I just dropped the left rear onto the grass just a little bit, and that was enough. Let's try that again, shall we? Brakes are not as good as the rest of the performance would make you believe. Like a car like this, it's got big aero, so it's got big grip at high speed. You would expect the brakes to be similar, but they're not quite. There's a lot of slip in them. They don't grab as much as you might expect. Plus, of course, there's ABS at play. You actually have to brake a bit earlier than you might expect.
brake now. It feels early, but apparently that's what it takes to get the car stopped. Car got a little bit unsettled under braking into the last corner, so we missed the apex a bit, but we didn't go off. That's a 152.345. Okay. So slow is fast and smooth is fast, apparently. That was a little squirrely. Knew it was going. Couldn't do anything about it once it was gone. I'm beached. I don't know if I can get out of here. Well, something is very badly broken, as you can tell. I don't know what happened. I'm not understanding this car. The car can barely turn right anymore. Yeah, the thing just broke free, and then I don't know. Well, evidently I have got some work to do to try and get my head around this thing, because it's not there at the moment. It's not the car's fault. Certainly not the car's fault. But I don't fundamentally understand what this car wants. Because it feels okay, and then the tires wear in, they come into temperature, and then I get horrible understeer in places where you really wouldn't expect to get it. And then it will snap into neutral slides mid-corner at medium speed, which is okay, but then you go to correct it, and then it just doesn't correct. So I don't understand the car. So that's something I need to figure out before I could really give a verdict, I suppose. But yeah, for a first look, I've ended up learning things I didn't intend to learn. I understand that there's actually a lot under the surface that I need to take a proper look at and then digest, because not is all as it seems. On the surface, it should be just a grip monster, but it's not necessarily. So yeah, I've got some work to do. Hopefully, you all have a lot of work to do in coming to grips with this car, because it's a cool one for sure, and it's something that's going to keep you entertained for quite a while, evidently, because it's not what meets the eye necessarily. It's definitely going to reward some patience and time investment. However, I will leave you with some hot laps in this car from onboard as well as exterior cameras here at Road America. And of course, link in the description to the Race Sim Studio website, where you too can buy this car if you so desire to have your own time of evidently getting really deep into the weeds of setup and trying to understand what the car actually wants, because I evidently am not there yet. Stay tuned for the hot laps though, everyone. F-Man saying thank you very much for watching, and of course, we will see you soon.